TaxAct knows filing taxes can be confusing, so we have live experts on hand who can help answer any questions you may have. Questions like, can I claim my SUV as my home office if I answer work emails in my car? If I adopted 12 dogs this year, can I list them as dependents? And, am I doing this right, or am I doing this very, very wrong? Our experts have the answers to those questions and many others. TaxAct. Let's get them over with.
Zootopia 2 has come home to Disney+.
Let's go!
Get ready for a new case.
We're the greatest partners of all time!
New friends.
Gary the Snake.
And your last name?
The Snake.
Dream Team.
New habitats.
Zootopia has a secret reptile population.
You can watch the record-breaking phenomenon at home. Zootopia 2, now available on Disney+, rated PG. And right now you can get Disney Plus and Hulu for just $4.99 a month for 3 months with a special limited time offer. Ends March 24th. After 3 months, plan auto renews at $12.99 a month. Terms apply.
Pod Save the King!
Hello and welcome to another episode of Pod Save the King. I'm your host, Russell Myers, the royal editor of the Daily Mirror. And it's been another jam-packed week. We weren't even going to start with Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor, Jeffrey Epstein, Sarah Ferguson, all the characters involved in this quite tawdry scandal. But just before we were coming on air, there has been another big development. So it only seems right to jump straight in. And I'm joined as ever by Jennifer Newton today. And I mean, what a picture. I mean, we've had several pictures telling 1,000 words over the course of this scandal, certainly over the past few months with the Epstein files that have been released by the US State Department. But this is quite extraordinary. It's been unearthed originally by ITV News, who are still, as you know, journalists across the world are still going through all of the millions of documents released by the US State Department. But it isn't that comfortable, is it? Because certainly it's the first time we have seen Andrew, Peter Mandelson, the former US ambassador, and Jeffrey Epstein in the same frame. Now, of course, we knew that all three men had relationships with one another. Certainly there had been, over the past 20, 25 years, always discussions over whether Peter Mandelson was the catalyst for Andrew to get the British trade envoy role. We knew Mandelson, of course, had a relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, which has led to his eventual downfall. And we need to say no more about Andrew and Jeffrey Epstein's relationship. But we understand that this picture was taken around 1999, 2000. It shows the three men, Andrew and Peter Mandelson, wearing bathrobes. Jeffrey Epstein is fully clothed, wearing a polo top and chinos. But it is just not a great look. And certainly it will definitely take some explaining, and the closeness of these three men's relationship. What more do we know about the picture that has emerged today, Jen?
Well, yeah, what we know is that it was actually in the Epstein files, which were released more than 7 weeks ago
And
now.
we're still having new developments. I mean, that
Yeah,
tells you
exactly.
how much is to come out, I think.
Yeah, and I think that just tells you the sheer amount of information, pictures, emails, whatever that are in these files, that it's only just now that this picture's come to light by people, being persistent and trying to find these sort of things. And I think it is, really, it's just a really embarrassing picture for both Andrew and Mandelson. I know they've had many embarrassing things come out to light about them in the past few weeks, but especially this picture, just to them sitting there in a pair of bathrobes, it's just weird.
Well, it tells you about the closeness of the relationship, because I'm not sure there
Yeah.
would be many sort of colleagues that you'd be sitting opposite on a sort of very nice weekend in your bathrobe, even if you were at a sort of weekend retreat for work reasons. But of course, Andrew has been arrested and he is currently being investigated by Thames Valley Police after his arrest and interview on February the 19th, incidentally his 66th birthday, well documented at the time. We saw that incredible picture of him lying in the back seat of a car, pretty much, when he came out of the police station. Peter Mandelson has also been under investigation with his links to Jeffrey Epstein. Now, they both remain under investigation. We understand both of them have denied wrongdoing in relation to their dealings with Epstein. So It's not going away, is it? I mean, this is, as you say, 6 weeks on now. We're still having new things come up with the Epstein files. There are journalists all around the world looking at the different details and the different context which are contained in these thousands and thousands, if not millions of documents released by the US Department of Justice. So where does this leave us? I mean, it certainly leaves Andrew in an uncomfortable position. It is further evidence of his relationship. And we are just about to, by the time you read this, we will have published a new story, which is in relation to Andrew's daughters, Beatrice and Eugenie. Now, I understand that they are absolutely furious that they have essentially been left out in the cold following their parents' involvement in the Jeffrey Epstein scandal. Now, this is interesting because we were talking earlier about the sort of changing attitudes towards Beatrice and Eugenie. I think, even just a few weeks ago, you think at the end of the year, they were after Andrew and Sarah Ferguson had been stripped of their titles and their honours in relation to the growing scandal that the King said he was profoundly concerned at a later date about. They were still invited to spend Christmas with the King and the rest of the royal family at Sandringham. Fast forward a few weeks later, and then we had new allegations come to light from the Epstein files, which showed a paper trail of emails concerning Sarah Ferguson and her daughters going to meet Jeffrey Epstein in 2009, just 5 days after he had been released from prison. Further to that, which I think tells you a lot about Sarah Ferguson's character, asking for first-class seats for herself, for Epstein to pay for them, asking for business-class seats as opposed to economy seats for her daughters. And I think that this leaves them in a very uncomfortable position. I think there was sympathy for Beatrice and Eugenie about their parents' indiscretions in the past, but the fact that they went to meet Epstein, the fact that they were absolutely okay with taking money from him to pay for those flights, whether they knew that at all, I suppose will need to be established, but we presume that they didn't pay for them because of Epstein saying that he had done in the email correspondence between himself and one of Sarah Ferguson's assistants. But what does this say about them as people? I mean, they were 19 and 20 at the time. They weren't children. And whilst I do admit there is a case that the princesses may have been overawed by their parents' lust for the limelight and certain glamour, where does this leave them as young women and I suppose with their relationship with the rest of the royal family?
Well, I think it is interesting because if we remember when Andrew was stripped of his titles back in October, the palace did say at the time Eugenie and Beatrice's titles were totally unaffected. They were wholly unaffected by this whole situation. But even though, the palace hasn't said anything formally on the record about them, it does seem that there's this kind of move away from, them coming to Christmas, them coming to other events like Easter, Royal Ascot, to a more kind of, they're just not saying anything now. And
well, that is the problem, isn't it? And I think that's what I'm hearing is that they feel aggrieved that the palace hasn't stood up for them, hasn't spoken up for them. I mean, the palace is obviously fairly nervous that there could be more allegations coming out in the Epstein files. I mean, we've just spoken about a huge development of this picture. What could further come out which could connect them to Jeffrey Epstein? Now, whilst there is absolutely no indication of wrongdoing as in the parts of Beatrice and Eugenie, and we know that Andrew has always denied wrongdoing, it is still very, very interesting for how the palace deals with this because, as you say, there was sympathy for them. They were invited to spend Christmas with the rest of the royal family. I think that there was that willingness to bring them into the camp and treat them as very, very separate to Andrew and Sarah Ferguson, who had spent Christmas alone, and that was very, very clear. Now they essentially by proxy are involved. They were able to go to, they were happy to go and stay at one of his residences. They were happy whether they knew the full take of it, but they certainly didn't pay for the flights themselves. Perhaps they should have been asking why they were going to see Jeffrey Epstein when it was fully known that he had served a prison sentence for procuring a minor for prostitution. Incredibly serious allegations. And again, it comes back to them. They weren't children. They wasn't like they were being taken by their mother. They had full jurisdiction over whether they would travel to go meet someone like Jeffrey Epstein. And I think it, as it was explained to me by someone in royal circles, it creates this very a sense of deep unease, and I don't see how Buckingham Palace or any member of the royal family can put out a public statement regarding them, as there is still an awful lot of nervousness about what else is to come from these from the Epstein files. You know what? I did want to clear up actually, because I saw some reports this week about whether Beatrice and Eugenie would be invited to Ascot or uninvited, shall we say? What's the latest with that?
So the situation seems to be that there has been no decision at the minute whether they are going to go or they're not going to go. Obviously, it's in June. It's still quite a few months away. But if they were to go, there wouldn't be any of the big carriage procession for them. It would just be them,
They'll be in with the rest of the drunken punters. Could you imagine? I think they'd probably choose not to go. But I mean, can the king have them in the royal box? I don't. If there is a decision that they don't ride in the carriages, if there is a decision to, I can't imagine that would happen anyway. But make public statements, as I understand that the sisters want there to be. They want there to be some form of defence of their actions, or indeed their associations with their parents' alleged misconduct. Now, can we envisage a situation where even Prince William, Princess of Wales, King or Queen would want to be standing next to them? Is there any appetite for that?
I think that's quite interesting what you say, because, as far as we're aware at the minute, there has been no wrongdoing by these two. So you could say, well, if they haven't done anything wrong, why should they be forced to stay away? But I think what it comes down to, and this is the thing it also always comes down to with the royal family, isn't it? It's optics. Do you want somebody, like you say, the king, the prince and princess of Wales, standing next to these two women who have done this, not in a bad way, but been visited Epstein. Yeah, the association. Yeah,
and they are adults. They were not children. So I think the dial has shifted now. There is definitely questions to be asked, and let's not forget that public perception is very important. We know that the king only moved because of the public revulsion in this case. He had left it. At least 2025. I mean, it's 3 years after ascending the throne that he took the action to remove the titles, remove his brother from royal lodge, take away those privileges. And we have to understand that Beatrice and Eugenie still have royal privileges. They still have residences in royal palaces. They may not be working royals. They may not get the whole sort of pomp and pageantry of being associated with the royal family as they perhaps would have done in the past, and certainly Andrew wanted them. But it is very interesting to see that this attitude is shifting within the palace now, and whether that will carry through to whether the king, for instance, wants them around at Royal Ascot. So yes, we will bring that to you when it happens, or if there are any more developments.
Get ready with me for day 5 of my Pilates challenge, and then a casual work from home day. I really want to be comfy today, so I'm going to go with my new Steady State set from Lululemon. I went for the matching hoodie and sweats. I love layering them over workout clothes, especially for early morning classes. The fabric, I believe it's called Superloft, is so soft on the outside and fleecy on the inside. Obsessed. Anyway, that's the vibe for today. See you next time. Shop the new Steady State Superloft now at Lululemon.com.
Picture this, a curve in the road, a change in plans. Well, what do you say? With the all-new Audi Q3, the answer's always yes. Yes to adventure. Yes to escape. Yes to performance. Yes to comfort. Yes to right now. Because saying yes without hesitation, that's real luxury. The all-new Audi Q3, made for the yes life.
We all have that dream trip we've been wishing we could go on. But too often, life, or usually price, gets in the way. That's why Priceline is here to help you turn your dream trip into reality. With up to 60% off hotels and up to 50% off flights, you can book everything you need for your next adventure. Don't just dream about that next trip. Book it with Priceline. Download the Priceline app or visit Priceline.com and book your next trip today.
Go to your happy price, Priceline.
But there have been some lighter moments this week. We have seen the Prince and Princess of Wales out at London Borough Market. It's a very famous sort of foodie hub in central London. They went to see the Bermondsey Beer Mile, and part of the day of engagements was about sort of going to communities and organisations along the River Thames, and they stopped off at the Tower RNLI lifeboat station, which is one of the busiest lifeboat stations in the capital. But what was interesting about this trip was about Catherine talking about she's been cutting down on alcohol. Now, it's probably, not necessarily dry Jan, which a lot of people try after the excesses of Christmas and beyond. But what was her reason?
Yeah, so she was, when her and William were at the Bermondsey Beer Mile, they were at one of the breweries there, and they were offered some beer to try, as you would when you're in a brewery, and she decided not to and said that she's just conscious of her alcohol intake since her cancer diagnosis, so she declined to have any, but said that William would try some because he always likes the cider, which we've seen that, and 1 pint Willie probably didn't have too many either. But I think, it was quite interesting, not so much what she said, but the fact that she said it, we talked about it before, she's opening up a little by little about her experience and going through that cancer journey. So I think that was just another example of that, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was really interesting. A very personal decision to talk about sort of your alcohol intake or your medical condition or decisions that you're taking about it. Lots of people have spoken about the fact that she's been very open about the forest bathing, being outside in nature. I mean, this is definitely another mode of that, talking about your own well-being, how you're making these conscious decisions. And I thought it was you must have known that would have been picked up upon. They're very intelligent and cute enough to know that these things will get noticed, and maybe that is exactly what she wants to present, a bit of well-being and nature. It all falls into the same sort of category. We did find something else out actually about when Prince William rather rudely refused a cup of coffee, or he asked whether it was decaf. But this was part of, they were in Borough Market, and Catherine was serving up some of the coffee that has been stationed in Borough Market, but is part of a wider organisation called Change, which helps homeless individuals get off the streets and get into the world of work. And Catherine was being barista for the day. But what happened there?
So I think what happened was she was she's been shown how to make a cappuccino. So, she's working the coffee machine, frothing the milk, pouring it on. And then she presented it to William and was like, "I've made you a coffee." And he went, "Is it decaf?" And she said, "No." And I think it was a little in-joke between them, was it?
Well, he does. Well, the in-joke is that he doesn't drink any coffie. He doesn't drink at all. He just drinks tea. I was thinking, maybe why would you? How do you get things done if you don't drink coffee? Maybe he's drinking Red Bull all day. He's drinking 7 cans of Monster.
Maybe, yeah.
You never know. We might see him with a can of Monster.
It's very British. It's very British and on brand for them just to drink tea.
I'll tell you, into the secret. My wife always buys me sort of a bit of sort of cheap piece of royal tat for every birthday, and I drink
memorabilia, not tat.
It is definitely tat, trust me. But I've got a Queen Mother little china cup that worryingly my son thinks looks like my father, and it's the Queen Mum with a hairnet on, essentially. But you should only drink tea out of a china cup. So maybe when I see the Prince of Wales, I'll shout out to him next time, "How do you take your tea, sir?" And he'll probably look at me very blankly and wish I was scuttling away. However, interesting week, not only for Prince and Princess of Wales, but for the rest of the royal family, because it was Commonwealth Day on Monday. And what did we see? I mean, this is a growing trend, I think, because Commonwealth Day service, of course, bringing the 56 nations together. We saw the King talking about choosing your family, which I thought was very interesting, talking about the Commonwealth Group of Nations. Of course, we knew his mother was very, very familiar and really interested in keeping the Commonwealth together. And now Charles as head of the Commonwealth, possibly the last member of the royal family to be head of the Commonwealth, because William doesn't necessarily see that as his future role. But there were an awful lot of protesters outside, and it looked, I've seen sort of the footage and the pictures, and it possibly looked like there were more than there actually were. But I definitely think that this Republic, not necessarily the movement, but the people who are turning up to protest and shout out, what did you know, Charles? Did you know about Andrew? There is a bit of momentum around it. I mean, what did you feel from what you saw this week?
I think you couldn't forget the fact that they were there. They're even though you say they might not be large in number, they're quite loud in voice, and it seems that the placards and that sort of thing that they're holding, which we've seen them quite a few times before, like they were at the coronation and that sort of thing, but now it seems like they're bigger and brighter than ever, so you just can't ignore them. And even the pictures that I saw coming in from all of the different photographers and agencies that were there and taking pictures of the royals as they were arriving, you could see in the background was the yellow.
Very expertly
very
positioned, weren't they? Because they
Yeah.
were just outside the west door of Westminster Abbey, where the royal family were pulling up. Now, I was down there and you definitely couldn't hear the chants as the royals arrived, because they stayed put on the bells were tolling and it was deafening. However, you couldn't fail to have seen them, as of course the King and Queen and Prince and Princess Wales didn't acknowledge the protesters. They sort of just walked in for the service, but. All of the pictures as they were walking in or across social media, they were expertly positioned out there to make sure that they were seen. And is this a growing trend? We've had several occasions over the last few weeks where members of the royal family are being heckled, both the King, the Queen, the Prince of Wales now, and it's not normally sort of necessarily the lone protester. I think they are connected to Republic, and there is a bit of a movement moving forward of this strategic element of Republic. However, is this something that the royal family have just got to get used to now?
I think they do, yeah. And what can they do other than just get on with the job and keep calm, carry on and ignore it? But I think the thing is as well, Republic have been at these events in the past, but it just seems now that their cause has kind of been rallied a little bit by, unfortunately, the whole Andrew situation. Like some of the placards they were holding was all saying, what did you know about Andrew? The picture of Andrew leaning over that woman on all fours, that was quite prominently displayed on some of the signs as well. So I think it's just kind of maybe not strengthened their cause, but given those people who feel that the UK should be a republic a bigger impetus to go and protest at these things.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's interesting to see where it will go. We've seen the Republican movement make quite a lot of noise, their voice be heard. I think there is a space for them, of course, to have their voice heard and to protest. Nobody would absolutely deny that. I think that this is an uncomfortable truth that the royal family probably have to get used to this now. I can't remember ever seeing that in the Queen's, the latter stages of the Queen's age since we would have noticed it, I suppose. And where does it leave the royals? Do they need to address it? Is it something that they should sit around the table and come together with Republic and talk about? Most probably not. But the heckling is definitely something that is being spoken about, not only in the police circles. It's definitely something that they are aware of, and within royal circles as well.
The world moves fast. Your workday, even faster. Pitching products, drafting reports, analyzing data. Microsoft 365 Copilot is your AI assistant for work. Built into Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and other Microsoft 365 apps you use, helping you quickly write, analyze, create, and summarize, so you can cut through clutter and clear a path to your best work. Learn more at Microsoft.com/M365 Copilot.
This episode is brought to you by Redfin. You're listening to a podcast, which means you're probably multitasking, maybe even scrolling home listings on Redfin, saving homes without expecting to get them. But Redfin isn't just built for endless browsing. It's built to help you find and own a home. With agents who close twice as many deals, when you find the one, you've got a real shot at getting it. Get started at redfin.com. Own the dream.
With Vimo Stash, a toggle on one hand and ordering a ride in the other means you're stacking cash back. With Vimo Stash, get up to 5% cash back when you pick a bundle of your favorite brands. Earn more cash when you do more with Stash. Vimo Stash terms and exclusions apply. Max $100 cash back per month. See terms at venmo.me/stash terms.
And there was another great engagement this week. It was Queen Camilla was at Clarence House representing and hosting the Women of the World event, as she has done the previous few years. I've actually been to this event in the past. It's a fantastic sort of meeting of minds, campaigners, organisers who get behind the Women of the World organisation. But this year, and obviously we've seen Camilla speaking about domestic abuse victims and that campaign in the past as well, but she spoke very, very passionately, talking to every survivor of every kind of violence, and many of whom who have not been able to tell their stories or who have not been believed. Please know that you are not alone. Now, we actually asked whether this was sort of in reference to the Epstein scandal and, of course, the growing allegations at Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor's door. Now, I was told that the speech speaks for itself, and certainly when you read some of it and listen to some of it, it was very, very powerful. Just give you a flavour of it. Queen Camilla said, "We stand with you and alongside you today and every day in solidarity, sorrow and sympathy. Every woman has a story, and these stories must be told, because when we live in a culture of silence, we empower violence against women and girls." I mean, this is absolutely central to what Camilla has been doing over the last few years, isn't it? She has become this pillar and this figure of not only the campaign and the documentary that she did, but she has really been able to sort of shine a light on all the work being done in this space like never before.
Yeah, definitely. And I think this speech was one way of really showing the work that she has done, because she referenced Giselle Pellico, who she went and had an audience with a few weeks ago. And she also mentioned Amy Hunt, who was a lady that she met just before Christmas. I think they did an interview for the radio, whose mother and two sisters were brutally murdered by one of their sister's ex-partners. So yeah, it was a really powerful speech. And I think to say what she did, yes, she didn't explicitly talk about Epstein, but I think you could definitely take from that what she was saying, that's what she was kind of referencing. I suppose it's similar to what, I know it's not the same thing, and it's probably not the best comparison, but I do think it's similar to, Prince William at the BAFTAs when he was talking about, "I'm not calm at the moment." You're kind of saying something, but you're leaving it open to interpretation.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that she will know that anything that she did say at that event, you look at the guest list there was definitely women from all walks of society and the arts and campaigning organisations that have really, I suppose, expected her to say something along those lines. And definitely everywhere it got picked up, it was being discussed, and she is definitely a bastion of this type of campaigning work in the past, and certainly will be in the future as well. I wanted to touch upon some big news out of the US this week, which is causing, I suppose, quite a bit of interest and excitement, because there is going to be an Aussie tour, but it isn't the Aussie tour that we thought it would be. Like we expected the Prince and Princess of Wales to go to Australia because they've been invited. Now, what is the latest?
So yeah, it's not William and Kate going to Australia, it's Harry and Meghan. So they confirmed earlier this week that they're going to be going to Australia next month for a string of appearances in Sydney and Melbourne. And then it has been revealed earlier this week as well that Meghan is going to be attending a £1,440 per person women-only retreat described as the ultimate girls' weekend.
I want to clear this up because I still don't think it is clear. So there's been a lot of discussion about the fact that this is her appearance. She's going to be on the Her Best Life podcast. This is announced by Gemma O'Neill, who is the host of that podcast, saying that Meghan had contacted her after being put in touch by a mutual friend. We understand that a mutual friend was Marcus Anderson, who is well known for being one of Meghan's friends and the man behind Soho House. But I'm still not sure whether Meghan is benefiting from these finances. I don't think she is. I think that this was sort of unfairly put across some sections of media during the week. But there is talk that she's going to Australia to sort of dip her toe in the Australian market for as ever, because after severing ties with Netflix, she is going obviously in a new international direction. And the reason possibly that she wouldn't do that in the UK is it's a wider market. So, a lot more people live in the UK than Australia. Who wouldn't want to go to Australia? It's sort of just coming out of the summer now, but it's still incredible weather. Now, I went to their last tour in 2018, and I remember it being sort of like rock stars. They were treated exactly like, the Beatles coming to town in the 1970s. It was absolutely extraordinary. Thousands and thousands of people greeting them whenever they go. What do we think the reception will be like for them this time?
Well, I don't know how exactly Australians will greet them as such, but it does seem a bit of it's just going to be a totally different experience for them, I think. You were there the last time. You remember all the crowds, all the very royal things they did, like the engagements where you go and meet the Prime Minister, the Governor General, you go to a school, you go here.
And they had Invictus,
And they had Invictus there. Yeah, whereas now Meghan is going to spend 2 days at some hotel charging people to do yoga, and you can get a picture with her. I don't know.
It's a different world, isn't it?
It's a different world. Some would say come down. I don't know.
It depends how you view it, doesn't it? If you view being freed up to do whatever you want and do a few round tables. I mean, there is a certain element to that. Also, I think Harry will do something with Invictus. He will do something with the Australia Defence Force, and Meghan will be doing some form of business type venture within Australia. We understand. Now, I don't think there will be too many public engagements. I think that the appetite possibly has waned. Certainly, will be very, very different from 2018. But as you say, it depends how you view your life outside the royal family. What do you want it to be? Do you just want it to be business meetings? Does it have to be full of philanthropic work? Can it just be a bit of a jolly and a bit of a couple of podcast interviews here and there? I don't think they'll be doing any news interviews like we've seen with Harry going to Whistler or going over to do Invictus. So I think in that sense, it will be very, very different. Now, just before we leave you, we will look forward to a couple of things over the weekend. The Prince of Wales is going to the rugby at the weekend. England haven't been doing very well. We've been absolutely useless in the Six Nations, so hopefully he can bring us a bit of luck. It is Mother's Day here in the UK and elsewhere on Sunday, so no doubt we will hope that we see sort of a post on Mother's Day. It's a very sweet one last year. I remember of William saying that they were super proud of Catherine and the children as well. And we've got the state visit. We've got the president of Nigeria, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and the First Lady are travelling to the UK as the guests of the King. So that will be all bells and whistles at Windsor Castle next week. But as ever, let us know what you want us to talk about next week. No doubt there will be further developments in the Andrew Epstein scandal. And we will try and keep you up to date with everything that is fast moving in the House of Windsor. Keep in touch on the socials at PodSave. And until next time.
Pod Save the King!